Welcome back, everybody, to a Little Less Fear podcast. Today I'm interviewing Filipe Rumao. He's live from Brazil. Welcome to my show, Felipe.
Thank you so much, Lena, for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. He is the author of this new book that's called Public Bathrooms, A Trans Nightmare, and it's in Portuguese. How do you say that in Portuguese?
Well, in Portuguese, it's banheiro público, pesadelo trans.
That sounds beautiful. Oh man, it's so similar to Spanish because I'm fluent in Spanish, and when I see you post on Instagram in Portuguese, I can almost always understand everything that you're saying. I'm glad to share that culture with you. And actually, I believe I'm nine
Yeah.
percent Port 9% of my DNA is from Portugal, so I know it's in me.
Oh,
It's inside of this
that's
body
cool.
too. Yeah,
That's
totally.
awesome.
So hey, what got you to write this book?
Well, I think the first thing for me was for like a personal reason to basically externalize. I don't know if that's the word or not.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
It is okay. These fears that I used to have when having to go to, use a public bathroom. I don't have this fear anymore, or at least not as intense as it used to be. But I had this need to externalize these fears. So since I'm not much of a talker and I don't really like going to therapy, I figured I'm going to write because I'm a writer. So that's the first thing that happened. And then as I was writing, I figured that if I managed to get published, maybe it could be of some help, for the trans community to feel seen, because I don't see many people talking about this particular, I guess, subject from a trans perspective. So help representation is such a huge deal for me, and also to maybe help cisgender people to realize that something that is supposed to be so simple is quite the nightmare for many of us.
What kind of fears did you have? What was this nightmare before? Now that I know you said you're better with it, but what was it like for you before? What were these fears?
Mainly to, I don't know if this is the right expression, but I used to be afraid of being figured out, like being read as something as I wasn't, that I'm not. I don't know. I always feared that somebody would see something that would, sparkle some kind of violence. Because here in Brazil, it's quite intense. And I have friends who have been through all sorts of crazy things, and I feared that it would happen to me too.
Would you mind sharing some of those fears? Like what kind of specific fears you had?
There was this one time that actually inspired the first short story in the book, that I was followed into a bathroom by a man. And with me, I mean, nothing happened. He just followed me into the bathroom and he was staring at me. And that was before I started my hormonal therapy. And he was just staring at me, and he watched me go into the stall. But since the bathroom was kind of crowded and there were kids there, I think, I don't know, he didn't do anything. But in the story, something happens to the characters. I sort of imagined what would have happened to me. So the character lives through that. And just, I don't know, like people can be so rude and violent with words. I that was the fear. Like somebody, I don't know, I would go into the bathroom to do something very simple, very human, and then maybe get killed in there. I don't know.
Yeah, because these stories are real and these things have happened before, and I'm sure
Hmm.
that it continues to happen.
Hmm. Unfortunately, yeah.
And so then you decided to write this book and say, you know what, if I write down my fears and it's going to help other people recognize and realize that I'm not the only one feeling like this
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
going through this.
not feeling
What kind,
alone.
since your book has come out, what kind of responses have you gotten from people?
Mostly positive, but my friends and people on Instagram especially have been really warm about it. But I've had some kind of like hate too as well.
Yeah,
But
like what?
just people being incredibly mean, saying that trans people shouldn't exist, trans people shouldn't use the bathrooms of their choice, all sorts of just nasty things.
Ignorant people basically that are not
Yeah,
informed. And that basically just shows you how much more we need to be exposed and how much more we need to normalize how normal we are. And that way there'll be less hate.
exactly,
Less hate and
exactly.
more love.
Absolutely.
So how long did it take you to complete this book?
Well, it took me like 15 drafts, and that was like in a period of maybe 8 months.
hmm
15 drafts in 8 months.
That's
Yeah,
really good.
I wanted to get it right.
That's really good. And what do you mean you wanted to get it right? What did you want to get so right?
I don't know. Like I think there's always something to improve, I guess. And if I don't
Yeah.
stop myself, I would still be writing it.
Oh man, oh geez. So then what motivated to keep for you to keep going? Was there ever a chance was there ever a point when you were writing your book where you were just like, you know what, this isn't gonna go anywhere, or this is I don't know where I'm at now or what I'm even saying. Did you ever go through anything like that?
Oh man, every day. Every day when I sat down, I didn't know if I was doing I don't know, maybe like the right thing. I knew I was doing the right thing for me because it was being kind of therapeutic.
Sure,
But I was
absolutely
like,
therapeutic.
yeah, yeah. But then I don't know, getting it published it's really hard, as you know, as I'm sure you must know.
I do know.
Um,
It's a pain in the butt.
oh man, that's true.
And time consuming once it starts to get to the publishing
Oh,
part. Yeah.
oh, yeah.
The
Couldn't agree
waiting
more.
game.
It is a waiting game.
So what kind of thoughts were going through your head when all that was happening?
I just, again, I held on to the idea that maybe if I could help one person realize that trans people are we're incredibly normal, we just want to go to the bathroom and no big deal, then I should carry on. I should carry on writing.
Yes, absolutely. I'm really glad you did. And I really
Thank you.
do you anticipate it being in English?
I did. I actually one of the drafts was in English, but then like I feel more comfortable and I find it easier, I guess, for obvious reasons to express
Sure.
myself in my own language.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you plan on writing any other books?
Well, this book was actually the second book I've ever written.
Uh-huh.
Right now, I just finished my fourth book, and I'm writing now the fifth, I guess, a comedy. I don't know if it's a comedy. I don't know if I'm a funny person, but that's the goal. But yeah, I like writing a lot.
That's wonderful. I totally hear you on that. I guess we're natural born writers and we're both
Yeah,
doing what we're meant to do. And that's a beautiful
yeah,
thing.
man.
Beautiful to share that with you. It really is. So, what can you tell people who are in the middle of writing a book or thinking about writing a book and feel that it might not be good enough or that they're not good enough and why should they write it if there's already so many books out there? What kind of advice can you give those people?
I think what worked for me was focusing on my passion. Like Ava DuVernay, who's a filmmaker, an American filmmaker, she didn't say this to me, but she said it in an interview, and I sort of absorbed it. She said, "As long as you love what you're doing, you're gonna find a way to make it work. You don't have
Absolutely.
to write every day. You don't have to write 50 pages every day. Just find your own rhythm, and it should work. You're gonna find a way to make it work." And there will probably people who will love your work, people who won't care about it, and a few people who probably will hate it. But as long as you love it, you will find a way to make it work. And I think that's kind of true because it happened to me.
It's very true. I mean, because then you're aligned with your spirit, your purpose, and helping people, and you really
Yeah.
can't go wrong with that.
No,
Yeah, if
not really.
because it's again, it's coming from love. If it's coming from love, there's no failure in love.
Couldn't
Even
agree
if your
more.
heart gets broken, there's still growth
Yeah.
in there. There's still growth
Yeah.
there.
A lot of heartbreaks, but there's a lot of growth.
That's awesome. So then, wow, this is really awesome. I'm really glad that you wrote this book because I specifically remember having a lot of fears myself, especially when I started my transition. I mean, all kinds of fears.
Hmm.
All trans people have these fears. But
Yeah.
how are you now with that fear?
Um, it's not as bad as used to be, but like if I can avoid using the bathroom in public spaces, I do. But when I can't, I don't have any problems.
Hmm.
But if I can't help it, I prefer not to.
And what helps you through the fear? Let's say you're out at you're out in public somewhere, you're at a restaurant and you really need to use a restroom and you
Hmm.
start to kind of have a little bit of anxiety. Like what helps you
Yeah.
through that process to say, "Okay, I'm just going to go pee, number 1, number 2, whatever, wash my hands, get out of there." Like what gets you through that process?
I just try to keep in mind that nothing, it's very unlikely. Like I have to say, like I am a white person, and there's a lot of privilege in that, and I feel safe, and I pass as a man, so it's not as bad for me as it is for other trans people.
Mhm.
So I don't know, maybe this kind of sounds a little rude, but I try to focus on the fact that nothing has ever really happened to me, and it's very unlikely that it will, unfortunately, because it happens to other people who might not look the gender
Right.
they are,
Right.
or so it's just in my head. I just try to focus. It's just in your head. And then I go in there, I do what I have to do. I wash my hands. I always wash my hands. And then I carry on with my day.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about the men's restroom is in regards
Oh,
to like in comparison to women's. But no, this is a good thing though, because I remember in the women's restroom, girls they wanted to go and they chat and they talk and let's go to the bathroom together,
oh,
and it's like blah 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 blah. They just talk about
that's very
everything and
true.
anything, and it's like that's their chance to like have a little conference call. But
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
guys' restroom, they don't even look at you. They won't even talk
No.
to you. They won't look at you. They're like washing their hands with their hands. It's like not even a grin.
Yeah.
It's like they're out. So
That's very
I kind
true.
of like that actually. I like
Yeah,
that
I
they're in
prefer
and
that
out.
too.
You don't have to chat about it, about your day and stuff.
Oh.
And I remember learning the hard way too when I was starting my transition and I looked in
Mm.
between. I probably looked like a 14-year-old boy or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it was my first time using the guys' restroom, and it was at a hospital institution, and there
Mm.
was a nurse guy washing his hands, and I was like, "Hey, it's a nice day today, huh?" And he was like,
Oh.
he just like turned around like, "Okay, bye,"
Oh man.
But it was like my first time, and I'm just so I was used to women always wanting to
Hmm.
talk about their day or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually been a little more relieving, a little bit more
Yeah.
relaxing.
It's a different dynamics, I guess.
Totally different dynamic. And although the men's restroom is a lot dirtier than the girls' restroom,
Oh,
that's it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Anywhere on the planet, I guess, because it
Yeah,
certainly is here.
probably. So, well, I'm glad that you're feeling more safe. And does your book talk about how to help people how to help like the trans community feel safer going to the restroom? Do you mention anything like that, or do you mention about how you overcame your fear?
Well, all it's the book consists of three short stories, and they're all fictional. But it's like in a indirect kind of way. I did talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
And the short stories being fictional, are they fictional based on your own experiences or a combination of your own experiences and other people's experiences?
It was loosely based on my fears, like things that never really happened to me or almost happened, like that guy who once
Yeah.
followed me into the bathroom. Or should I say the restroom? You've been saying restroom.
Yeah, we say restroom. If it's a bathroom, there's usually a bathtub in there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. Restroom. Okay.
restroom. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of lost track of what I was saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we're just basically saying if there's like the three short stories that you have, are they based on your own stories or
Oh
other
yeah.
people's stories that
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
heard, or a combination of
S-
both?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. My fears, there are like a few aspects about their personalities that were kind of based on me, but just like mostly things that I see happening to other people, and just I kind of added a little bit of creativity into it as well.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait to get my copy. I'm sure that I'll be able
Yeah.
to pick up more words than not since it's so similar to Spanish. And
Oh, I hope so.
yeah, I can't wait till it arrives in the mail. I'm waiting for it.
Oh man.
Yay!
Thank you so much for getting a copy, by the way. I know
Oh,
I thanked you
thank you for
before, but
sending it. I know it's gonna take forever
oh,
to get here, but it'll
yeah.
definitely be worth it. And I'm so glad that we finally
Oh,
got to meet. How can people find
yes.
you on social media?
I'm only on Instagram at
Okay.
Filipe Rumao.
And how do you spell that?
FilipRumao.
And there it is, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between. That's Felipe Rumao, live from Brazil. Thank you so much for talking about your awesome book that I'm going to be getting a copy of, Public Bathrooms, A Trans Nightmare. And hopefully we'll be able to touch base soon. And when I go to Portugal, we're gonna hang out for sure.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thanks so much. You have a beautiful day now.
You too.